here we have the app. This is what you will see when you first turn on the drone, turn on the connector, put the connector into your phone. You've downloaded this app already. Pick your Zino, enter device, enter main interface. That is your main screen. I'm inside, so you'll see on the top weak GPS signal. As we start at the top, here is brings you back to Hubsan. So enter main interface. We move across the top, you will see off with the wee sign for propellers. Once you start, that'll come on. Then we'll have the signal from the drone, the signal from the controller, a satellite. It's 0 at the minute. Once you pick up satellites, the number of satellites received will show on this part. Always make sure you have at least 12 satellites. Just in case 1 or 2 drop, you will have a problem. You really need at least 10 to 12 before you will have good GPS lock on this drone. Next to that, we'll have the battery, 100%. Battery lasts, depending on how you fly, recording everything, anywhere from 16 to 20 minutes. There's so many different things to take into consideration with the battery. The wind, altitude, how your type of flying, recording video. So always keep a close eye to your battery and try not to run the battery down below 20%. These type of batteries don't like being run down to 0. So try and keep, when you finish your flight, come back 20%. Next to that, we have the settings button. This brings you into this screen, the top. These settings are for the aircraft. You'll see the model, minimum return altitude. I have mine set at 30 meters. You can set it between 20 and 100. Always have a look around, see where your landing site is, see how high you're going to be flying. If you're flying the drone in a park and you're not going to go more than 20 meters high, and you have your return altitude set at 30, when the return to home is activated, it will go up to 30 meters and then come back. If you're at 40 meters, the drone will stay at 40. It'll not drop down to the 30 meters and return. So whatever flight height that you're at, when the return to home is activated, that's what height it'll come back at. Next we have waypoint settings. You see here, you can set the default altitude, your maximum flight route distance. This particular drone, the maximum distance is about 1 kilometer, depending on signal. Everything else comes into that as well. But in the UK, it has to be line of sight, so you really won't be flying out to the maximum too often, because you won't be able to see the aircraft. 300-400 meters, it's very difficult to see after that. Next, you can set the radius of how far you want to go in your waypoints. The default waypoint hover time, this when you do a mission and when it gets to a point, you can have it sit at that point for a certain amount of time. Come back out of that one. GPS accuracy test. So before you fly, you want to make sure that the quad is connected to the drone. It'll give you a GPS accuracy test and tell you how far from the drone and controller you are. And this, when you start it, this is what happens. And as you see, the system needs to gather GPS accuracy information around you. So you need to put your controller with the phone in it beside the quad and press next step. Does it for you. So we'll skip that, go back in. Bind aircraft to current device. Always make sure you bind the aircraft as well. These are all things that you need to do before you take off. The aircraft shouldn't let you take off without doing the minimum. Always make sure you do as much as you can to get as best connection between the aircraft, the controller as possible. Below that, you'll see flight control firmware version. If you were to buy this quad now, hopefully it comes from the factory with this firmware on it. If not, you'll have to do the updates, and as I stated earlier, go on to YouTube and find QC Guy, and he can talk you through and show you exactly what to do to get the firmware version put on the quad. Below that is the FPV firmware version, and that's all to do with the gimbal and the camera.